What's up? In this segment, I'm going to talk about spirituality, and I'm going to kind of merge it with observations I've made about the current New Age community. And when I make this, it's not really to attack them in particular, because I think all beings have a right to search for knowledge, and they have the right to search for knowledge based on their level of understanding. But it was interesting because when 2012 came and went, a lot of people were disappointed. Either some people went back in the matrix, or some people clung or stuck to that belief. And I would say the New Age community comes from the mindset that either you're waiting for aliens to come and save you, or you practice a type of spirituality that's more grounded in theory and not practical application. So because it's not really grounded in practical application, you don't really have any real structure to your spirituality. So for instance, you might astral project once, and then you might all of a sudden be obsessed about the astral projecting experience when you don't really realize that astral projecting or the astral is actually a way for you to understand the concept of death. Because in a sense, every night you go to sleep, you go in astral, it's almost the same process of when the person was to physically die. When you go in the astral, usually, you astral by at least from your solar plex. When you die, if you practice the right spirituality, your higher self and your astral body would tie together and shoot out through your crown. And in a way, it's the astral projection was actually a preparation to in a sense to go in that process. And when you prepare for that process, when you died, you wouldn't be as scared. You wouldn't be as scared. You would have much healthier death and a much better afterlife. The problems come in is that a lot of people in the New Age community don't realize that when nothing happened the way they wanted to, that wasn't supposed to mean you're supposed to go back in the matrix and he's supposed to say forget spirituality. What was supposed to happen is you were supposed to wake up and realize it's time for practical application. Practical application is what some people might call the occult. And because many people weren't ready for that, still not ready for it, they hit like their progress just became stagnant. And you're lucky if it became stagnant, some people went backwards. And even though it was, heartbreaking, and in some ways, some people are still clinging on to those beliefs. So you see, talk of third eye and pineal gland activity, all kind of stuff, crown chakras and all this type of stuff. But even, you see videos of people in the East shooting balls of fire out their hands and all kind of stuff, and everybody wants to do it when they don't realize those things take years to master or to even be able to accomplish. And another thing is sometimes you might have to ask why are you trying to accomplish that in the first place? Because true spirituality sort of, in a sense, it kind of makes you stronger, more intelligent, a better person. So if you have problems with patience, it'll make you more patient if you're doing it right, of course. If you have problems with maybe being prejudiced, it was supposed to open your eyes to different types of humans, let alone, there's probably different types of species living amongst you. It's supposed to help you look at nature a lot differently. It's supposed to help you look at animal kingdom, plant kingdom as sentient beings who are your partners in being able to take care of nature. So, in a sense, those are actually the powers that true occultism gives you. And eventually, yes, sometimes you might be called on situations where you might have to become a little stronger. Right? So then, a person who's on the path of occultism might be able to do things that a regular person can't do. But even then, it's still part of a purpose. For most people, they don't really have a purpose when they pursue knowledge or when they try to pursue enlightenment. They just know something is wrong, but they're not sure what. They're not sure what's wrong. They're not even sure what they're looking for sometimes. And a lot of times, what they don't really realize is the journey itself is by yourself in the beginning. You get assistance from nature. You get assistance from the ancestors. You get assistance from people who might write books, who point you in the right direction. But the real truth is, it's really a test on you, and it's really a test on your decision-making process. It's sort of like when you're born with these two people in you. The ego self, higher self. You got to blend them together as a marriage. Usually the ego self is more in control. So if the higher self is in control, it would have said, damn, 2012 came, nothing happened. I'm supposed to wake up and maybe start to practice real spirituality. Real spirituality just means practical spirituality. Theory is nice, but eventually you have to actually apply it. And a lot of people have not heard the call. They still have time. It's not a race. But I find a lot of people sometimes need a little direction. And sometimes, even though it's a journey that you take by yourself, you still sometimes need, people who are on the same journey to kind of give you a shout out, or to even just say, to point you in the right direction. Say, hey, Bobby, Joey, Susan, go over there, go over there. Yeah, you're going to have to read the book yourself. Yeah, you're going to have to open the door yourself. But sometimes you need that voice to say, it's okay. Go over there. Go a little further. You may not see the door, but it's there. And I think a lot of times that's what is needed right now. I think a lot of teachers are clinging on to outdated models. If the alien model came out in 1970s or 60s, obviously it's outdated. If, you just think meditation by itself can help you, no, get into mental alchemy. Meditation is one of the things that we call mental alchemy. You're going to have to study psychology. You're going to probably have to get a divination system. It's a lot of things that you're going to have to do besides just meditation. And I think that's practical occultism. And because it's practical occultism, you have to get used to sometimes being able to keep a secret. Meaning, if somebody else is not on the same path you're on, and they don't have the same maturity you have, you might not be able to discuss everything that you want with them. That is probably a thing that a lot of people in, let's say, the New Age community or the more mainstream occult community have problems with. But that's something that you're going to have to deal with, in the sense that, just like, for the most part, if you're in college, you're not going to really trying to teach somebody in 4th grade. If you do, you have to come down to their level. So I think a lot of times what happens is, with a lot of people who call themselves indigo children, Messiah seeds, is that they get mad at the world and they say, how come people don't understand me? Partly people don't understand you because you don't even have any awareness to be able to see. You're supposed to meet people on their level. So if you want people to understand what you're talking about, you must go down to their level at first and see where's their level of maturity. That's the difference between practical occultism and the more fluff occultism, where you just believe that you're right, somebody else is wrong, and you go try to tell them how they should live their lives, when it doesn't work like that. In practical occultism, you have to assess the person's maturity level before you share certain secrets with them. So if I know magic and science basically are two sides of the same coin, well, with a matrix person, I just get into science. Why? Because getting into magic is counterproductive. You have to have a certain type of maturity to get into true magic. Just like you have to have a certain type of maturity to get into true alchemy. Same thing. All forms of occultism is like that. Even astrology, you see, you have mainstream astrology, then you have, high level astrology, where you'll be shocked at the stuff you could see and actually decode and actually see about other people. But when you read the regular astrology books, you have to actually put it together. You actually have to read astrology from the east and west, put them together, even produce psychological changes in your own mind to be able to read the astrological science a lot differently than somebody else who just punch up an astrology on a machine. So in a way, the 2012 aliens didn't come, but it was by design, because in a sense, this is an interesting journey, and an interesting journey, the higher forces want to see if you can adapt, and life is all about adapting. And I found a lot of people not adapting. They're clinging to the old ways of life, and that's not going to work or cut it in this life, because in the end of the day, if the ships didn't come, if whatever you're looking for, if you didn't get superpowers, it was by design, because now it's time to do the work. That's the bottom line. And the work means the practical application of occultism. And what is occultism? You can look at it as a science that is hidden to people who haven't done the work themselves. So for some people, they could use the tarot cards, and the tarot cards is the source of all the greatest information in the universe. Right? They could take the tarot cards and they could build a whole system around it. Other people, tarot cards are just a fortune-telling device. You look on the internet, it's like a joke. Right? For other people, tarot cards are the devil. Is anyone right or wrong? No, it depends on their level of maturity. For some, that's what occultism is. You can take the same tool, same object, and you get something totally different than somebody else who hasn't went through the same psychological and even physical changes. So Because yoga, like for instance, like you see yoga, you see them stretching and you see certain things like that, or you even see taking medicines, taking elixirs. That's to produce physical changes in your body, because your blood chemistry has to change in order for you to perceive certain occult truths. So if the ships didn't come, it's okay. It was by design. Now you're supposed to do the work. So instead of thinking about UFOs, you think of elevated states of consciousness. So instead of thinking about being able to astral project when you got like two chakras open, maybe you calm down the astral projecting, clean your body, balance your elements, and then eventually you'll be able to astral project. And then you see the true purpose of astral projecting, which is just to being able to see the environment around you, to be able to see things that you can't see in the physical realm. So when you die, you better prepared for it. So hope this helps. Until next time, peace.